In today's fast-paced digital world, fraud can strike at any time, leaving both individuals and institutions vulnerable. When a customer spots fraudulent activities on their account, the expectation is swift action from their bank to safeguard their assets. But what happens when procedures delay that protection? Let's dive into a real-life scenario that highlights the critical responsibilities on both sides, where quick decisions can make a difference between loss and recovery. Make we talk. Today, I want to talk about an alarming situation shared by a bank customer on social media. I'll leave that bank nameless. After discovering 4 fraudulent transactions on their account, they immediately contacted the bank to block the card. The customer provided critical verification details like birth date, TRN, and address, yet it was alleged that the bank refused to block the card because they couldn't recall a second recent transaction. Now, this raises serious questions. What are the responsibilities of the bank? And what should a customer do when faced with this kind of negligence? Let's talk about the responsibilities of the bank. Firstly, banks are required by law to prioritize the safety and security of their customers' funds. Under the Proceeds of Crime Act, POCA, and the Bank of Jamaica's Banking Code of Conduct, financial institutions must act swiftly to investigate reports of fraudulent activity. Immediate steps should be taken to block accounts to prevent further unauthorized transactions. Yes, banks have strict Know Your Customer (KYC) protocols, but these should not be so rigid that they become roadblocks in time of urgency, man. In this case, verifications of details such as birth date, customer's TRN, and address should have been enough to take decisive action. Failing to do so not only places the customer's funds at further risk, but also opens the bank up to potential liability for negligence. Under POCA, banks are obligated to monitor suspicious transactions and report them to the Financial Investigation Division. Delaying action on fraudulent reports not only violates customers' trust, but could have far-reaching legal implications if the funds are connected to illegal activities. Now let's talk about customers' responsibility. On the other side, the customer also has a role to play. When reporting fraud, they must provide all necessary information promptly. In this case, the customer had already supplied their TRN, birth date, and a recent transaction. If for some reason more information is required, the customer should try to recall those details or escalate the matter within the bank. Now, what could have been done differently? Both parties must understand that when it comes to fraud, time is money, literally. Precautionary measures that could have been taken by the bank include a quicker verification process or more flexible identification protocols in urgent situations. The customer, in turn, should always be vigilant about monitoring their account's activities and escalating issues when necessary. Now, what are the consequences of non-compliance? Failure to act swiftly and responsibly by either party can have dire consequences. The bank risks not only financial liability, but also reputational damage. If the bank is found in breach of its obligations under POCA, it may face penalties from the Financial Investigation Division, which include fines and/or sanctions. For the customer, inaction could mean losing funds that may never be recovered. Filing a police report immediately It's also a critical step to ensure that the fraud is documented and investigated. In conclusion, both banks and customers must work together to prevent and address fraudulent activities. The bank also must act promptly to protect customer assets, and the customer must provide the necessary information and escalate the issue if necessary. Failure on either side to take timely action is a costly mistake. Now, the questions: has this ever happened to you? Is your bank handling similar queries in your best interest? Let me know in the comments. This is Ozzy G. Thanks for listening.